What's going on, guys? This is Derek Ledwidge from Strive Fitness and Performance, and today I'm going to end up doing a video on training for fat loss, right? And so this is a pretty common topic for a lot of people nowadays because most gyms, most big box gyms, uh, uh, TV stuff, any type of like product, it usually goes along with, wasn't that a good workout? Or we're trying to find the best workout for fat loss or anything like that. And so for today, usually we talk a lot about like nutrition, which is obviously a big thing. Today, I'm going to end up going over the training, right? And this is going to be perfect for someone that is finally trying to get that lean look. They might be doing a bunch of activity. They might be, doing a bunch of cardio, some strength training at the gym, whatever it might be. And they just feel like they're always doing something and they're very, very active, but they're not actually getting where they want to go. Right. So that is who this training is for tonight. So if you're watching me live, I'd love to hear you. Click on the comment section below live. If you're watching the replay, love to hear when people are actually watching this replay, post in the replay. So that way we can sort of see how we are reaching everyone. As always, if you have any comments as I go through this, feel free to post in the comment section and we can easily talk about that as the video is going on or afterwards. Without further ado, we are going to start with our training for fat loss, what people do wrong, as well as what you can actually do to get your goals finally. So we're going to go through a little bit of everything tonight. So I'm going to go here, real quick here. So you guys can see it. All right, so training for fat loss. Now, before I end up getting all into it, I'm going to mainly go through what most people do, right? And predominantly people that are looking for fat loss, it ends up becoming a lot of times women. Right, we're trying to get lose the weight, and maybe we're afraid of lifting weights. Maybe we're in a group class. Maybe we're just doing cardio at the gym because we don't know what to do. Some guys do this as well, but again, most of the time it's going to be the female audience that is sort of going to go through a lot of this stuff, mostly because it's very class-based. But again, it's these are the pretty much typical people that we're going to be talking about. So training for fat loss. Most think of cardio or HIIT, high intensity interval training, for best results, right? That's what most people think that they need to go do. A lot of times, anytime I'm talking to someone, they just say, oh, maybe I can just start doing a little bit more, maybe a little bit more cardio or something like that. So a lot of times people nowadays generally know that they don't really need the long cardio, the long runs, but they also think that they're going to go get it at, like an Orange Theory or a boot camp or even a CrossFit. They think it's, okay, we are using weights, so I am getting the strength training. And so that's really what we're talking about today, on why that's not necessarily true and why that's still going to not let you get to your final goal. And we're going to talk about why. So this is mostly for that, cardio-based classes, Group X classes, HIIT oriented, whatever like that. And I'll even explain why CrossFit's along those lines as well. And so before I end up beginning a lot into that, realize literally it depends on where you're at. But if you're right at the beginning, any movement, any of those things, boot camp, even if it's just body weight workouts at your house, it is completely not bad whatsoever. Literally anything that you were doing before is probably a lot better than what you were doing before. So that's a lot. It doesn't really matter if you are just beginning, just literally moving is fine. But once you get past that beginner stage, you sort of need a progression built into your program. We can't just do the same things over and over again. Our body adapts to this. And like I mentioned before, this is primarily for the people because that want actual fat loss, not necessarily weight loss, but fat loss. Fat loss means we are getting leaner, we are getting toner, which means now we are keeping muscle if we have it and losing fat. That's very, very different than just weight loss. You have to sort of keep that in mind too. So that mindset sort of has to change a lot through this. But like I said, if you're just beginning, honestly, just doing anything is going to be a lot better than what you were doing before. So keep that in mind. I am not dogging these places, but it they sort of have an end point to where it's not really going to get you a crazy amount of results in the long run, unless you actually make some tweaks, which a lot of them generally don't let you do that. All right. So why cardio? Why cardio circuit-based workouts are not necessarily going to get you there. And I'll sort of explain what CrossFit is after what CrossFit is lacking after this as well. Basically, cardio / circuit-based workouts are very metabolic in nature. They're very cardio-based. It's one style of training. And because it's very, very cardio-based or metabolic-based, it's very, very short-term results because your body adapts to it relatively quickly, right? Even if you are doing strength training, a lot of times these places sort of say, yeah, we do strength training, right? And because they're using weights, same thing as doing body weight workouts at home. You use weights, you're saying, I am doing strength training. In reality, no, you're not necessarily doing the right kind because you're not really changing as the body adapts. The body is going to adapt to this very, very quickly. And once it does, you need to change up a stimulus in order to get the same adaptation. You know, the body doesn't really get results by doing the workout. The body gets results by adapting to those workouts, right? It gets stronger, it builds muscles, and now the stress is not as hard, as taxing. And so it's going to be the same exact thing. When you do cardio, the body adapts to it relatively quickly. So what do you have to do? Well, now you have to go longer, right? So think of it as when someone is really, really out of shape. Just walking is going to get great results because they're just not doing it. Their body adapts that by losing weight. So the stress is a lot less. Someone like my size or anything like that, just walking is not going to get that same stimulus. So now what do I have to do? I have to walk longer, or I have to pick up the intensity. I now have to run a little bit more. Once my body adapts to that, what's going to happen now? I either run faster or I extend the length of time to do that. Now, these would be the same thing as people doing 2-a-days, right? They stay for an hour class and then they stay for another hour class. They're working out 2 hours because they're not getting the same stimulus as they want. The hard part about that is at some point, it's going to stop. You're not going to be able to have as much time, or you're going to feel like you're living in the gym. I know a lot of people sort of think like that when they're very, very cardio-based classes. All right. That's a biggie. That's a big reason why a lot of these circuit-based, a lot of these cardio-based or boot campish are sort of lacking when it comes into getting progressive results. Another one is it's limited to the class that you're in. If you're not really using a whole lot of weights that time, then all of a sudden now you're sort of, it's completely dependent on the class. The weights that a lot of times in the boot camps, there might be max 20 pounds, but you're a strong person. You can easily lift 35. Well, guess what? Guess you're using 20, right? Now you're just going to have to do a little bit more reps, right? And at some point, your body is just used to it, so it doesn't really matter anymore, all right? So you're very limited to the class. No, individually, sort of the same thing. It's hard to progress. When you plateau, you are stuck because you can't change anything because you are very dependent on what's going on around you. We sort of have that same thing happen in some of our group classes here at Strive, but we sort of have a different way to adjust that even in our group setting. And so in order to change, actually, let me go over CrossFit, right? So CrossFit's sort of the same thing because CrossFit is very, very random. And even though that is their biggest thing, that is their biggest sell point, that is for people that want to get better at CrossFit. You're doing stuff very, very random, right? And that is the sport. It is very random, right? But even the people that are CrossFit athletes, right? They don't do those CrossFit workouts until it's competition, right? They do those as like to get used to it. But the ones that are ripped, the ones that are trying to do that, they are, lifting on one session and then they do Olympic lifting on another session, right? They're very, very focused on those sessions. They don't do those WODs the entire time. what they are doing is very, very focused on something. And some CrossFits are good when it comes to that, a little bit more progressive. A lot of them are not. So you have to make sure that if you're doing CrossFit, to make sure that it is actually progressive. It's not just as random as it's going to be. It has to make sure that you are actually going in the right direction, right? If it's not, then again, random does not equal anything successful in the long run. Basically, what you want to do is you want to think of yourself as a car, right? At first, you're a gas guzzler, right? You're just doing anything and you're just burning energy like crazy, just doing something. This is why a lot of times when even if you are relatively in shape, right, and you go do something different, you are completely taxed and just dead, right? Because you are expending all of this energy just to do some of these things. Well, what happens as you start doing some of the cardio stuff is you turn into a hybrid, right? Now, all of a sudden, you last a lot longer before you actually have to refuel. And in order to do that, you just have to keep on going there. So you don't want to be the hybrid. You want to be the gas guzzler, right? And so for cardio, it becomes a little bit harder to do that because the body adapts to it so much. And in order, what you have to actually do is you actually have to progressive overload with strength training, right? This is where actual strength training comes into play. And like I said, most places, most boot camps, they'll say, yes, we do strength training. In reality, it's only strength training if you're progressively getting better. And this is not, I'm going to deadlift 400 pounds, right? A lot of people come in here, a lot of women, even like a lot of older people, they sort of come in and like, I don't want to do strength training. I don't want to like get bulky or anything like that. That's not actually what happens. It's not about deadlifting 400 pounds if that's not your goal, right? What means for actual strength training is you're progressively getting better. And so you should be able to say in your program, I can do this. I couldn't do this before, right? And that's how you get that lean look, right? You're progressively doing everything else. Even if you're not writing down the weight and paying attention to how much you're actually doing it, you should be able to say, I can do this. I couldn't do this before. I can lift 35 pounds. I used to only be able to lift 15. Last month, I only did 20, right? Now I'm doing 30, right? And that's the most important thing. That's what the progressive model is. You're progressive overloading what's going on, because when the body adapts, you need to start doing that so you get that same stimulus, right? And so actual strength training is that what you need to do. You need to do more to become stronger. It doesn't mean that you're going to get bulky or anything like that. It's also better for joints as you're stronger. A lot of times when people come in here, they feel very achy. When they're not, or when they're strength training and legit actually lifting a little bit more, their body becomes more resilient. Their joints don't ache as much. They're a lot stronger. Also, better metabolism. The more muscle you have, the more metabolism, the higher metabolism is. And now also we can actually, live without eating 1,200 calories, right? We want to be able to have a higher metabolism so we can actually still burn calories while doing less and less work. And like I mentioned, better physique. If you're trying to get lean and you don't have muscle, you're going to be at best skinny fat. And so in order to get that physique look, that lean look, that tone look that most people are doing, you have to have muscle and you have to burn fat. And just by doing cardio and lifting 10-pound weights is not going to get you there in the long run. Look at any people that you are looking, oh yeah, I want to look like that, right? Even like, like movie stars or actresses or anything like that. Or if you're, watch CrossFit and you want to look like some of those people, but you don't want to look bulky, right? They actually do lift. Right? They lift heavy and they have their nutrition in check and they use cardio as a supplement. That's what people do that get results. People that don't are the ones that just keep on doing the same shit over and over again. And the last thing that's beneficial of the actual strength training is it's a confidence builder. This is usually one that is massively, massively overlooked, especially for women. When people are trying to get a result, they're trying to lose fat, gain muscle. It is very, very hard. It's a hard mindset. It's hard to always be consistent. It's hard to see your weight go up and down. If you are doing just cardio or just working out, you don't have anything to hold on to. The only thing you have to hold on to is, are you consistent and is your weight going down? If you have strength training to hold on to, you have a whole bunch of small goals that you obtain, because now it's, ooh, I am, I'm able to do this now. This is awesome. It almost becomes addicting. And while you're focusing on that, assuming you have nutrition, the other stuff will come as it gets there, right? So you're not really focusing on this weight anymore. You might be little by little, but now you have all these positive reinforcements that keeps you going when this doesn't do exactly what you want it to do, right? And that's how you get through these long-term things. Most people don't think about it as much as they should, but strength training progressively is a massive, massive confidence builder, and that holds everything together. All right. So end result, how do you actually do a progressive model? When your body adapts, and it will adapt to strength training, right? It's going to, your body always adapts to something, right? That's how it adapts to stress to make you stronger, right? So in order to do that, why strength training is so much more valuable than cardio is you can change so many different things, right? You can change the weight. I'm going to lift more. Instead of using 20s, I'm going to use 25s, right? You can change the rep scheme, right? Now, instead of doing 20 pounds for 20 reps or for like 15 reps, now I'm going to use 35 for 6. It's a different stimulus. It's more weight, less reps. So now your body has to adapt to that. You can change the exercise, right? It might be, instead of bench press with dumbbells, maybe now I do an incline press, right? And now immediately it's a different stimulus. My body gets used to it, right? And then when it gets used to that, then we do something different, right? Maybe we do a one-arm bench press, right? Now it's a different stimulus. My body has to adapt to that in order to get stronger, right? So you can change all of these different things. You can change tempo, right? You can go a little bit slower, right? You can do it on like a split squat instead of a squat. You can add volume or more reps, right? Instead of doing 4 rounds, you can do 5, right? And all of these different things. You can change so many different things. In a group class, a lot of it is you can't really do that because you're completely dependent on what's going on around you, right? You only have like, say, 30 seconds. So you can't really do anything different because you're just a slave to the time, right? Again, not like it's a bad thing. We're just talking about how it is not as golden as a lot of times they're talking about, right? So this is how you actually progress. This is how you want to be able to do it, even if you're in a group setting, because we do those as well here at Strive. A lot of it turns into, you should be able to say, I can do this. I couldn't do this before. If you have that mindset, you'll be able to always progress. Right. So that's a little bit about how to train for fat loss. Again, this is how you get lean, right? Doesn't mean that you want to like lift 400 pounds or anything like that. It's more about, we want to get that lean look. We want to be able to gain muscle or keep muscle and lose fat, right? And this turns into, it doesn't really matter what type of goal you're going for. If your goal is to lose fat, you're going to end up doing that. If your goal is to gain muscle, you're going to do that same exact thing. Strength training is priority. Get your nutrition in line. If you're muscle building, you're going to eat more. If you're going to recomp, you're going to eat about medium. And if you're trying to lose weight, you're going to eat in a deficit, right? You're going to be able to do all that stuff, and you're going to use cardio or like a class or something like that to supplement all of those things. That's how you truly train for fat loss. Hopefully this all makes sense. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to comment in there, or you can easily message me if you have any individual questions or anything like that. I can touch base any time with you to see if I can answer any of your questions. Until next time, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll